Hey.
All right, EXPs, we are back. We have worked through technical difficulties. Me and Gabby have been here for the past 45 minutes trying to figure this out. Special thanks to Matt, to Mandy, for posting that article because we just read. What did we just read, Gabby?
Okay, let's see. It said that it was too expensive for Facebook to keep the dual option up, and so that's why they cut it off. But they just cut it down as early as November of last year, so
Yeah,
we didn't know that.
yeah. So thank you guys for bearing with us. And we are here nonetheless. If you guys have any comments, any questions that you have for Gabby, just drop them in the comment section of the actual video, and then we will see them, and then we will comment on them and get your questions answered. So I'm going to grab my phone really quick just to make sure we are live in the group. But for those of you who don't know who Miss Gabby Sanjali is, Gabby, just give them a brief introduction as to who you are. Of course, you are our 2018 EXP Rookie of the Year winner.
Woo woo.
But aside from that, if you're just joining the group, if you weren't in the group when we did the EXP Elite Awards last year, you may be wondering, okay, who is this girl Gabby? Like, who is Jay bragging about? Why are these people commenting about how much they love her? Well, this is Gabby. So just give them a little, a short history of your background in the industry. I'm gonna grab a phone.
Oh, awesome. So I had a friend who was doing she was a booking coordinator, and she's like, hey, I need extra people for this gig. At the time, I was teaching, substitute teaching. I was a long-term substitute for middle school and high school, so I moved around a lot. So I was already used to that, moving around, taking whenever I wanted kind of atmosphere off. So she asked me to do it, and I was like, sure, that was fun. I did one, and then I didn't work for a minute. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go full force. I had a lot of fun on my event. I started meeting other people in the industry, and I was like, I just want to go full force. So I quit one of my other part-time jobs. I was still substitute teaching at the time. And so I just went on. I did events on the weekends, and I loved it. And so I was like, I got to the point where I started doing product specialist work at the Kia Stinger Salon in Mall, Georgia, with Jones. So hey, Matt. And he hired me to be product specialist. And ever since then, it just took off. I was like, I want to do this all the time. Apply for things that I don't even know if I'm qualified for. And guess what? People were like, yes, you're qualified. You can do this. And I met all these cool people. And so I just want to continue doing that.
So you've named some of the positions that you've been able to work in as an EXP. Of course, brand ambassador, product specialist, and what has been some of your favorite positions thus far?
I liked product specialist because you learn the information and then you just repeat it. It's like a script. It's just really fun. It's the same information over and over again. So for some people, depending on what event you're doing, it can get a little jarring because you're saying the same thing over and over. But then I think you have that high quality interaction with one on one versus someone just sees, the cell phone case right here. They just see it and they're like, wow, that's great. But if you tell them what it's made out of, what its uses, and you keep speaking about that, they become more interested, and hopefully they'll go buy the product.
Okay, so you had the opportunity, for those of you who don't know, first of all, let's just touch on you being a rookie. How was that, just transitioning into the industry? And what are some, like, let's just go maybe top three things that you learned along the way for some people who may just be entering the industry, and learning about the industry. What are your tips for them?
I would say number one is be observant. You notice the people that are doing a good job. You observe them and see what do they have that I think I could be better at. How are they dressed? Depending on the event, of course. Because some events you might have to wear heels. Some events you have to wear sneakers, all black sneakers. If you notice you're the only one with pink sneakers, that might be an issue. That's my number one thing. Super observant. And then my next one, I would say to diversify your things that you apply to, because like I said, with me, I didn't know I was qualified for certain roles. Then I tried it, like, oh, I like this a lot, so then I can apply to other things in that field. So going back to cars, now not just with Kia, but I've worked with Buick and Chevy, and different vehicles, Genesis, and that was really fun. And then I also noticed that I really like conventions. So I don't just do, a convention for like San Diego Comic Con. I was fortunate enough to work with that one with Nintendo. It was amazing. But that's one type of convention. We know that's a geek convention. Then
Yeah.
there's Salesforce Connections, which is more, it's the business side. That was
Yeah.
super fun. It's more for them geek, but it's still a convention. So you diversify, your technology brands and your paper product brands, your food brands. There's conventions for food too. There's conventions for everything.
Right.
So diversity is definitely the second one. The third one, I would say, attitude goes a long way. I've known people that honestly they didn't know what they were doing on site when I was a manager, but you go talk to them and say, "Hey, try to do this better. We would like you to do this," and the way they handled that answer is how I can see. Oh, they were like, "That's really nice. Okay, I'll try that. Okay, that's great." Then I'm definitely going to hire that person again because they're willing to listen and they're willing to make themselves better. And there's some people you ask them to do something and they're just really angry and combative. And, that personality, it can work. And depending on the activity, it can work. But you have to be, going back to number two, diverse, because you never know what event you're going to be because your clientele might be different. So just be mindful of all of that.
And how have you been able to evolve your resume and your headshots? Because I know last time we did our pop-up interview, you talked about using your cell phone and being able to pick complementary colors and making sure that you just use the free resources that you have to be able to apply for jobs. So how have you been able to evolve that aspect as far as like your resume and your headshots and stuff? Are you still
Mhm.
implementing the same thing?
Yes, I'm all about that free life. I was on I have my headshots, but I was on a Facebook group, and this person put on a contest saying, "Hey, free headshots, just enter." So I just commented, and I'm actually getting some more headshots on Saturday for free. Sometimes you have friends that are photographers, and they can help you out. You just got to ask, but you don't always expect it to be free. But it does help. Like I said, now ring lights are really inexpensive. I'm using one right now. Get a ring
Yeah.
light, have your phone up, just take some pictures, and you can have, well, I'll take these off, but you can have a nice headshot that way. Make sure your makeup's done, your hair is done, and make sure you show your full body too, versus just here up. Because right here it's just my chest up, but you would want to show your whole body. And don't worry, some people are like, "Oh, I'm a little bit on the skinny side or I'm on the bigger side." You never know what that brand is looking for. Because in this industry, sometimes it's a liquor brand and they might need a little bit someone more voluptuous. Some of us VAs are actors, and you never know what they're looking for. So always stay positive and apply.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of rejection too. Like
Yes,
that's
yes,
key. 'Cause with so
yeah.
many jobs, so many opportunities, you may not get the one that you really want, but something else better may come along too. So
Hmm.
that's extremely important, and I'm glad that you touched on that and talked about the importance of continuing to apply because some people do get discouraged. After applying for 5, 10 jobs, spending hours and not being able to receive any emails or replies from anybody. So how do you deal with that, like the rejection part?
Oh, I just applied more things. I just apply to much because, like I said, sometimes VAs get upset because they are not um, chosen. But you have to realize all these agencies, if they want the really good VAs, they might have a pool of 50 people they've worked 10 events with, so they might pick from them. It's not because you're not good. It might be because they already have their 15, 20 people already. So you have to think of it in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
Make sure like your pictures are always clean. You get pictures at the event with clear photos. Try to get some with you in them with the branding. So if you have a branding logo right here, just move your hair out of the way and try to get that brand so it shows that you are there at the activation. Selfies are cool, but I do like seeing that you're there because you can go to Goodwill and get branded shirts and be like, "I was at this event." So you want to make sure you show booking coordinators that you're there.
Yeah, and yeah, Gabby's dropping some good tips, guys. I hope you're taking notes because that is important. Having those event photos, and having photos of you actually engaging with the consumer, maybe not so much showing their face, but just having those interactive photos can go a long way to you obtaining an opportunity, especially if it's like specific to like a product specialist, or like an MC, or even a mascot, which you uh,
Yeah.
work a lot as a mascot as well. So working as a mascot, just for a minute, what are some tips for people? Because some people say, I do not want to get in a costume. I'll do every job except that one. Why do
Mhm.
you take on those opportunities, and what would you say to those people?
Oh. So, if you know about my more personal life, I am a cosplayer. So, a cosplayer is someone who dresses up in costumes for fun. We go to conventions and things like that, like San Diego Comic Con. Our big one here in Atlanta is called Dragon Con. And
Yeah.
so, I naturally like being in a costume. I
Mhm.
like just seeing people's faces when they see a large chicken. I was actually the cornflake chicken. His name is Cornelius for Kellogg's. And to see the parents just like, what are you doing? And it's hilarious because they can't see my face. And I'm just like cracking up. I've been Yoshi before too. And I had little kids come hug me and adults take selfies with me. And it's just a nice warm feeling. And yes, it's hot and sweaty. Like when I was in Yoshi, I was downtown Atlanta. Just make sure you're hydrated, but I mean, besides that, I don't know. It's just worth it to me because I just really like that energy. I think that's what it is. Like uncomfortable, but then energy, it just brings it up so much.
Mhm. And how has, because for those of you who don't know, Gabby came from an education background. She was a teacher before this. So, what was like, and we talked about this before, but what was it for you that made you say, you know what, like I don't want to go back to working in education. This is my element, and I want to pursue this full time. Like, what clicked for you, or what event, or what was your aha moment that confirmed that you're in the right industry?
Hmm. I think my event that it really clicked for me was when I worked for NASA, and it was the Mars rover tour. And I actually went with my tour manager. That was my manager on that one. Was on tour with her for Nintendo in October. So it's crazy how that worked out. But that one was great because it was just I was talking to people about this awesome piece of technology. I wasn't selling it to them, so I didn't feel like I was forcing them. And that's what I like about experiential marketing. It's this new cool experience where I feel like it's a commercial, but not really. It's a more fun commercial. Recently, I'm not working at the moment. I broke my ankle, if you guys didn't know. And so I went and visited one of my EXP friends, Jessica, and she is at the Poopery tour. And I took my mom with me because I can't drive. So she took me, I took my mom, and she was like, that was hilarious. That was so fun. And I said, this is what experiential marketing is about. It's hilarious. You will always remember that product because of that experience you did. And I love having those experiences. Sometimes, like, am I going to buy the product later on? Maybe, maybe I won't. But I've even been influenced by buying some products. So
Yeah.
that's definitely for sure.
Shouts out to Jessica Bradford. I went and visited her too
Woo!
and went through that experience. It was pretty cool when she was there this past weekend. But you
Yeah.
had the opportunity to go from rookie to just getting your feet wet to learning the industry to navigating through the industry, and having your bumps and bruises to being awarded your first tour opportunity. What was that feeling like for you? Um, just being able to see like the hard work and what you put in, from the brand ambassador side to go on tour. How was that?
That was a lot of fun. I got the call and they interviewed me and they said I was great. They referenced some social media that I have, so that's important. Depending on your brand ambassador stuff, make sure your social media is clean. So they referenced that, and I'll be honest, I cried. I was so happy. So I went on the tour with Nintendo, and it was an experience. It was super fun. I grew up, like I said, I dressed up as Yoshi before. So I grew up with Nintendo, so that was a big, big, awesome thing for me. Um, and what I liked about it is how we were doing the same thing, but we were seeing the experience through different types of people. So it wasn't really that stressful for me, and the fact that I know the games, we know how to do the setup, but as we go to different cities and you just see how different people react, because we went from Seattle, then we were in Wisconsin, we went through Middle America, through Texas, and then they ended up in LA. And it's just how people react differently. But you're trying to market to all types of people, and I like the inclusivity of Nintendo and how it's not just for little kids, it's not just for tall people, it's for everybody, your family, your friends. You take it with you, and I just love that message. So for me, going on that tour, it was great.
And one thing that we kind of talked about behind the scenes was the fact that you were referred for this tour. But just like you just said, you still had to apply, you still had to go through the interview process. So I'll say that to say EXPs, oftentimes your tour opportunities may come from you working with another EXP, them seeing, your work ethic, the fact that you're able to engage with the consumer, that you're able to meet, the qualifications that are required to go on tour. But just because you're referred for opportunity, it doesn't automatically give you a golden ticket in. As you heard, Gabby still had to go through an interview process to make sure that, the person that referred her, in the agency, it confirmed what, that EXP may have talked, or what they may have said, all the great things they said about Gabby. So don't get it twisted. Like, you still have to put the work in. Although you may be referred, at the end of the day, when someone's referring you, your name, that person's name is on the line as well. So you definitely have to keep that in mind as an EXP. And definitely when someone is referring you, there's still an interview process that has to occur.
Yeah, and referrals help a lot. I've been referred to things. I referred some friends. I think one of my favorite events I worked last year was Hangout Fest, and some EXPs canceled last minute. We were on the beach at the activation. I was working for Pandora, and these people just backed out, like 3 people. And so I went on social media and I found people, and these were people I worked with, and they came down from Atlanta to Gulf Shores, Alabama within like a few hours. Like, I'm coming. And because I knew they were awesome, because I worked with them before, they weren't just random people that commented on my Facebook post. These are people I personally worked with, and it was great. Like, the client loved them, and that was awesome. And I personally, when I'm a manager, I'm always looking for people I can refer from things, because I see, I know how I like to work. If people are really bubbly, they're really great. And age does not matter. If you're really fun, you're gonna have the best time. I even got
Yeah.
referred to an event in no, it wasn't. I wasn't referred to that one. San Diego Comic Con. So I worked for Nintendo at San Diego Comic Con. I met a VA there, and her name is Amy Welsh. So hey, Amy, and I, I was referred to the Little League World Series with Canon, and guess who was working it? Amy. And I was like, this is great, and it was just awesome. And I made a good bond with her there, and I noticed, even though I wasn't a manager at Comic Con, I just noticed how bubbly and awesome she was. So I was like, I have to know this person. So I was like, let me add her on Facebook. And I'm glad I did, because we ended up working another gig together, and she's awesome. So that interaction between me and her happens a lot. And she's just another one. My friend Antonio Gonzalez is really awesome. He's one of those people I met through other things, and he noticed that I was awesome. I was like, you're awesome too. Cool. Roxanne Roy, she's another awesome one. So we've just been having awesome time. And I just like, you meet people in Seattle, someone recognizes you, and then you see them in Miami for Super Bowl or something like that. And it's awesome that way. So referrals are great.
And then for you, so going from being a brand ambassador, local in market and traveling from time to time, but having, to work 4 to 5, job, maybe like 2 to 3 jobs or 4 jobs in one day, and having to consistently book brand ambassador work, to going on tour and having, some stability, and having a set schedule, having a consistent paycheck, every 2 weeks. How was that transition for you? Different than just being a brand ambassador. What are some things that you enjoy from that aspect of just tour life? Because it is different than being a brand ambassador, whether you're local or you're traveling.
Well, tour, the steadiness of it is what I liked about that. Like I said, it depends on the brand you're looking for. So I like the steadiness of it. But then I do like brand ambassador, while you're moving around, you just have to be really organized, because with a tour, it's the same. You're getting paid by the same people most of the time. It's the same expense reports, it's one thing. But with brand ambassador work, if you're moving here and there, you have to keep track of how much you're spending on the hotel. You're getting paid, $1,000 for a week, but your hotel's going to cost you 800. Is that job worth taking in Boston? You know what I
Right.
mean? So you have to make sure you are good with that. And that's where the referral and keep in touch with people comes in, because sometimes you can room with people. And then if
Mhm.
sometimes you make enough money, you might have to room with anybody if you room by yourself. But it always helps. I know that's personally what I did. But when I was transitioning, I didn't quit my job 100%. I kind of just
Okay.
slowly transitioned, but that helped because I was substitute. I can just work when I needed and then did brand ambassador work whenever I wanted. So that helps. I didn't do a straight, you know, get fired and then start working. So I don't have any particular advice on
But as far as being able to consistently maintain those opportunities,
that. Hmm.
and of course making sure you implement, some smart money tips. What are some things that you do, as far as budgeting to just make sure that you have consistent paychecks coming in? I know with the ankle injury, it's been a
Hmm.
little tough. But aside from that, as a BA working consistently, what are some things that you implemented from a financial perspective?
So I have spreadsheets, and I put every job that I've done, what company, if it whether it's W-2, 299, anything like that. Then I would place like a check if I was paid from that company or not. Because sometimes, like they might miss, or even you sometimes a W-9 form or W-4, whatever it is, you miss it and then you don't get paid. But if you don't have that little check, you're like, well, let me go back and contact those people. Also, it's really easy when you're working a BA job and you're at a nice convention hall or you're in the city, you want to go out to eat. It's going to be really expensive. So I would say bring your lunch. I have one of these lunch boxes that has cooling packs inside the lunch box. So if I'm from Atlanta, so Atlanta is really really hot, and I worked Georgia Lottery for almost a whole football season, and it was hot. But I would bring that lunch box with me everywhere, and I because sometimes we don't have time to walk all the way to Georgia World Congress Center to
Yeah.
eat your food. So I would just have to just go somewhere and eat. But I always bought that lunch box, and I still have it. So that's my thing. Because food, that will tear you up with the money.
Yeah. And if you're going out of town, that hotel too, if you don't have,
Hmm.
your plans worked out as far as your lodging and who you'll stay with. So
Yeah,
that,
Airbnb helps a lot.
so I'm going to read some comments, because I'm live. I got my phone live. Andre said, "Hey, Gabby, Andre Miller."
Hey,
Um,
Andre.
Teresa says she loves you guys. Jessica Bradford said hi. Mia Bostic said hello. And everybody's just commenting on some of the things that you're saying, exactly. And you're right, Abby. Budgeting is important. So, touring,
Hmm.
what does the future hold for you? Do you want to go back on tour after your first tour experience? Um, what would you? I'm not going to say necessarily be different, but from what you saw on tour, was it everything that you expected and then some? Like for the
I would
EXP? Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I would definitely like to go back on a different tour. We'll see just whatever comes up because there's so many variations. I was thinking about doing getting a CDL just to help with that, but if not, I would still go as a brand ambassador or the manager. That's cool. I did like how there was a group of us, so I didn't feel like it was just me and everything fell on me. I did like that aspect, especially for a first one. Um, but for the next one, it just depends because sometimes there's only two of you, guy and a girl, a lot of times. So we'll just see how that goes. And it was what I expected. It was kind of like doing an activation, but just over and over and over again, and you're just moving to different cities. So that part wasn't that different for me. It was just, we have a lot of personalities. So we had 11 people, I think, for ours. So that was a mix. So it just depends on who you have on your tour. It can go really really well because of personality. Because I have nothing negative to say about Nintendo as a brand or how that tour was. It was fine. Um, and how it's activated. We had some issues with rain. So sometimes it's like, well, maybe this could have been built better, but that has to do with the builders and not necessarily the brand ambassadors. and the tour manager. So other than that, it was great. I had a good time until I fell out the Grand Canyon and hurt myself, which was hilarious.
And how has your recovery been going so far with that?
It's been good. I actually was on, we had an extra day on tour, and one of our events got canceled. So, like we said, things happen, things come up. So, it's like, go to a plan B, try something different. And that's what I was doing. It's like, well, I've never hiked the Grand Canyon before. Let me go hiking. And it wasn't a hard hike. I slid and hit a rock, and it was easy. There's mountain goats and everything. But after that, like my roommates were pretty awesome. They helped me out. 'Cause, I had to like sit in the shower and all that stuff. I'm supposed to swallow. But they helped out a lot, so I appreciate it. Shout out to all of them who like went to the grocery store with me. So the camaraderie of that came through for
That's
that
good.
portion.
That's awesome.
And
So what would you
after,
go ahead? So after
oh
that,
yeah, so after that, I got back home and I worked a few days in my wheelchair actually, because I was like, I'm hardcore. I cannot sit in the house
you
for
know
longer
what?
because I'm travel, travel, travel. So one of the companies I work for, it's a photo booth company. They were doing the gingerbread house at Carnival at Lenox Mall. So they're like, "Oh, you want to work a few hours?" I was like, "Yes, I can work a ring light and a camera while I'm sitting in my wheelchair. I'm doing it." So I came and did that for 5 days. So that was nice.
Look, in a wheelchair, you see this? No excuse.
No.
You did what you had to do, and you made it work for you, and that's great that the agency allowed you to do that. So it worked in your favor. That's awesome. Kudos to
Yeah.
you. But what would you say advice for EXPs trying to get on tour? They may not have a person to refer, that they know that may refer them. They've been applying, and for tours, and no
Hmm.
tour has come up yet. Right now we're kind of in the slow season, the slow part of the year. Where tour opportunities will start coming up, guys, in the next couple months or so. So definitely, you got to use this time right now to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. But from your perspective, from your experiences, from going from a rookie in the industry a year ago to being on tour to now looking to continue to maintain consistent opportunities, like what is some advice you have for those EXPs who are looking for their first like tour opportunity?
Hmm. I would say networking one, but if you don't have that, diversify your resume and make sure your resume is in pieces. Like, don't just have it like a list. So if you have a ton of like sampling, that's food. Start looking for food tours. But with touring, a lot of times you have to be driving a vehicle. So make sure your license isn't revoked because like we had to drive a van a few times. So make sure you have that. Um, your pictures are reflective of what you're trying to apply for. So say you're going, I've seen a Hello Kitty tour going on with a van coming to
Yeah,
Atlanta. So if you like Hello Kitty, pictures of like Nintendo and cartoons and things, you wouldn't necessarily put a bunch of like beauty products as a highlight on your resume. It's definitely
right.
still be there, but you want to highlight the strengths that have to do with that brand and do your research on that brand too, because you don't want to go into a tour completely not knowing anything. I mean, you can, because sometimes they train you, but it's always good to know just like a little bit.
And how about some interview tips? Because I mean, I talk about it, but being that you went through that process of being interviewed by an account manager, I don't know if you were interviewed by a client as well, because sometimes
Hmm.
you'll have to do like 2 to 3 interview step process where you'll interview with an account manager, senior account manager, and even a client. So how was that? Were you nervous for your first, like your first tour interview? And what advice do you have, like for someone who's like going through that interview process, or trying to make sure that they're able to come off as warm and inviting and
Hmm.
able to sell their skills, on a interview? What were some things that what was Gabby's touch that you kind of did to make sure you were able to solidify that tour from an interview perspective?
I would say speak clearly and answer the questions that they tell you. You don't want to ramble too much. And when you're interviewing, a lot of times it's going to be on the phone, sometimes it's in person. But if it's on the phone, make sure you don't have background noise. So I think I was interviewed at Georgia World Congress Center like right after the gig. So I ran to like a really quiet corner and I spoke to them that way. And always speak up your strengths. If, like I said, if you're really good at being team lead, you've been team lead 40 times, emphasize that. If you've been team lead of like 2 people versus 40, talk about that. Talk about things you know. You don't want to talk about I don't know. It's you were sampling yogurt. You don't want to talk about the yogurt if we're talking about a tour for I don't know Yankee Candle or something. You want to talk about something you really know and how you would manage because everybody's management style is different. But you always want to talk about how you would do it and not what they would hear because sometimes you don't know what they want to hear. You can have the cookie cutter answer. You can give them your twist. Like for me, it helped. I worked with children for a long time. And sometimes I did a Harry Potter camp, and I still do it when I'm not doing EXP work. And I have 50 kids in there. And so I just tell them, quite frankly, it is like herding cats. And so if I could do with children, give me 5 adults, I think I'll be all right. So that's my personal strength. But everybody has their different ones. And once you figure out what that is, I think you'll do great. Because I think some people are self-conscious about I don't know, it could be physical description. They don't feel like they're not experienced, but you never know. Like I used to be ashamed that I like Star Wars and Harry Potter and that geek stuff, and now I let my geek flag fly and I let everybody know it. And it's fun. And I even say that in interviews before. I just say I'm really into it, and I've had people go, "Oh, me too," and it's just like, "Oh, there's a connection right there," and you never know where that can lead you. So,
Yeah.
just try it.
That's awesome advice. And that is so true because sometimes you get caught up in trying to be too scripted and trying to, assume or think that you are telling an account manager or a staffing manager what they want to hear. And it's important that you let your personality shine, which you have a great personality, by the way, and that you are able to allow them to see you, for who you are. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be entrusting you, whether it's a 3-month tour. And how long was your tour?
It was 8 weeks.
So it was 2 months. So whether
yeah.
it's 2 months, 3 months, 8 months, they're going to be entrusting you with everything from finances to assets to getting to each location in a safe manner, being to work on time. There's a lot that goes into just the day-to-day operations when you're taking like a program on tour. So, for the most part, they really take the time to screen people, and it's important that you allow your personality to shine, but you're also able to get the job done. It's not a walk in the park, as you probably can attest to as well being on tour.
And also, you got to be mindful. Yes, you have a big personality, and that's great, but you always have to, what's the word? Mold it to the event you're working. Because sometimes the client wants that loudness, but you always have to get what the client wants. Sometimes they want that. Sometimes, I had to let somebody go. One client wanted us to have, they said, no dark lipstick, no colored hair. It was like that intense. And I'm cool with like, I've had pink hair before. I've had all these crazy colors. It's fun. But for that activation, we couldn't have that. So in my personality, I love all that insane color, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes they will tell you, no red lipstick, no this, no that. And you have to, or don't sing along with the band. Like, it'd be in something insane. You're like, that's so stupid. But it's like the client's paying for this experience and they want you have to do what they want you to do. So don't take it too personally.
Yeah. And how was that having to let someone go, like working in that position as a manager?
Oh man, that was awful. I talked to her. I said, "Oh, well, you can go change it if you want." And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna go home." And I gave her the opportunity because I hate she just didn't know. She just asked her to see the email. She's like, "Well, I didn't think that it would be a big deal." I said, "Oh, do you have the email where you sent the booking coordinator?" And she showed me the picture she sent. She's like, "Well, I sent them a picture with my hair," but she sent like 5 pictures, and I think the last picture she had that different colored hair. And so I said, "Oh, well, he probably thought like maybe that was like an editorial shot." And so I just said, well, we can't because like I think it was for Super Bowl, and the client was a big sponsor of the Super Bowl. It was for Hyundai. The Hyundai Genesis. They call it just the Genesis now, but the CEOs of Genesis were there. This was a big event in Atlanta, and we just couldn't chance it. And I felt really bad because it happened in another location too. But it was like there was nothing we can do, and I was tried to be as nice as I can about it. And I said I didn't dislike her hair. I thought it was fine. It's just that's not what the client wanted.
Mm. And you are put in those tough positions sometimes, and you have to be able
Yeah.
to make those calls and hopefully not burn bridges, but just do at the end of the day, do what the client wants.
Right. And like I said, don't take it personally because I think some people are just like, that's insane. Now the client's like, you can't have water for 8 hours, you can't eat food. Like, okay, that's insane. I
Yeah.
get that. Like that's a point where you know you need to just walk away.
Mhm.
Um, you can't go get water if you're about to pass out. Some people like they on the opposite end always want to do what the client wants, but they don't think they're like, oh well, I have a disorder. Like I had somebody, she had an anxiety attack at work, and I had no idea. So she came up to me and she was like, I'm freaking out, freaking out. I didn't want to disappoint you guys, blah blah. And I said, hey, let's go sit down. And it was so bad she had to go home.
Mhm.
But don't be afraid if you have a medical issue, any issue, just come and tell us
Yeah.
because we never know. We don't want to have someone have like a heart attack or their blood glucose level goes so low that they go into shock.
Yeah. That has to be communicated early in. As a manager, you have to be able to manage all aspects of an event. There's the staff,
Hmm.
assets, consumers, and it's important. And the great thing about you is that you've been able to progress fairly quickly and be put in all of those roles and have to adjust on the fly, which is
Yeah.
which is
And remember,
awesome.
we also have to we have to manage personalities too. There, you might get an event where you have BAs that really like they're awesome with each other, and then there's times where it's like this person dated this person. It's like, oh, we gotta separate them. So just be mindful. You don't have to make a big deal about it because if you look spazzed out and crazy, then you look like you can't lead, even though you might feel like you have control. So if you have that aura on that you're calm, you're breathing, then the BAs won't feel so frustrated as well. Because they will
Mhm.
catch, like, I mean, I know I've been a BA and I see some manager freaking out, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go this way. So you just want to be as calm as you can.
Yeah.
That's what, I mean, I need to take my own advice sometimes because sometimes I'm just like, what are you guys doing?
Woosah.
I'm like, oh.
But I'm gonna let you go. But before I let you go, my last question for you is, how has being a EXP winning Rookie of the Year for 2018, like how has it impacted your life? And impacted, if anything, opportunities for you as an experiential marketing professional.
Oh yeah, I had somebody like right after I won, I was working a gig in Seattle. I didn't make a lot of money on this gig. I just wanted to go there because I've never been to Seattle. So I was like, oh, that'll pay for my trip if I work this gig. And a girl there recognized me. She's like, oh, you're that blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And then that was really cool. So we had that instant bond just from that. And she's really awesome. And then I was hired by Oxford Marketing actually
Oh
for a
yeah.
gig. Yeah, because she was like, "Oh, hello, fellow EXP," and I was like, "Oh," and that was awesome. So hey, Mandy, um, and she got me for what was it? The Paw Patrol. I was going to be a mascot, and I was so excited. However, which it does happen, the client moved the dates, and I was booked for something else, so I had to actually back out of that gig, and I was really upset because I wanted to be a puppy so bad.
Oh.
Um, yeah, but I worked another gig with her. It was for Tag Heuer, the really expensive watches at the MLS game. So that was really cool. So yeah, people have recognized it, and I think it's a good little opportunity for the next one. So the next person who gets nominated and wins, good luck. Um,
Yes. You
we
got
want to see the future.
some high benchmarks, some high standards with our first rookie right here. She set the bar kind of high. So
Yay.
our rookie EXPs who are coming after her, you gotta make sure you're able to come at or above Gabby's level because
Yeah,
she's
we got to get your votes in. Anybody you've thought of that made an impact, that in the past year or so, that you just keep seeing, no matter what part of the country, no matter what age, too. I've met BAs that were almost 50, 55, and they were amazing. But I've met BAs that were 18, they were awful. So age doesn't matter, really. But yeah, we'll get your votes in.
And I've got some comments for you real quick. So Mia
Okay.
said, "Hey, Gabby, I want to wish you a speedy recovery."
Thanks.
And she hopes that you get better so you get back out there and start working. So it's been a pleasure through all the technical difficulties. Thank you for working with me. And we learned something new tonight with Facebook. So I will be EXPs making the changes as far as using a different platform to host our live videos. But we will be doing our live videos and continuing the series that Gabby suggested with us doing our Where Are You Now, and featuring our past EXP winners from 2018. So I'm gonna let Gabby
Yes.
go because she just got that light and everything popping over there, looking beautiful.
Common. Yeah.
But thank you guys all for tuning in, for bearing with us through the changes. Thank you, Gabby, for taking the time to shed insight into how you've been able to progress, to provide your tips and your experiences on tour. And thank you again. I can't say that enough. And I just appreciate not only you, but everybody in this group and the community that we have here. So I wish you a speedy recovery. And if there's any last words, I'm gonna let you have the floor. And take it away, Miss Sanjay.
Let me see. What's a good hashtag? Because they always ask you for hashtags when you're working. I'm trying to think. We need a hashtag EXP Elite, hashtag amazing, hashtag we got this.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So we got this. Gabby got this. And hopefully I'll be seeing you out there back in the field or back on tour. So
Yeah.
all right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye, Gabby.
Bye.
I'll check in with you guys later. So